Hi, I'm Marc Sumner, CEO and founder of Robertson Sumner. Welcome to the Channel Chat podcast, where we will share learnings, best practices and failures with some of the biggest names in the IT industry.
Thanks very much for coming on anyway, because I wanted to sort of get some views on you, because I think people are really would be keen to understand how you've adopted it and how it's affecting you. So I suppose my first question is, with the speed of the rapid pace of what happened, how quickly did sort of CCS Media adapt to that?
Instantaneously. But
really?
Instantaneously. So we'd gone through a process of moving all of our business to an Agile IT platform. That started over 18 months ago, and it finished over a year ago. So it took us about 6 months to fully roll out, so from concept to implementation. And then we obviously went through a change curve inside the business. So we already had, we call it Agile IT as opposed to Agile working, and the reason being is Agile IT to support proactive working, wherever you are, and also that builds from Agile working to proactive management supported by Agile working as well, so we can manage and work and support anybody wherever they are in the world. And we don't believe that a building should become a barrier to how people work, and it allows great flexibility, great freedom and work-life balance for our people. That's not to say when in February, when we started to see Wuhan getting locked down, and there's talk in the media, early February around, this could become a worldwide epidemic. I phoned our IT director and said, right, I know it works, I use it, we all use it, but what's the maximum people that we have working Agile at any one time? And he said, typically, 250, 260 people out of a best part of a 500 employee organization.
Over half were using it. Yes. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
And at any one time, and it's different people all the time as well. And I said, right, disaster scenario. I remember really clearly. It was a Friday afternoon. I said, disaster scenario. Monday morning, nobody can come into work in every single function of our business. Can we still operate? He said, yeah, 100%. And he didn't skip a beat. It wasn't what he said after that. It was how fast he was to say yes.
No pause and no nothing. Just knew to do it.
Yeah, no pause, no hesitation whatsoever. And he's not a sales professional. He's an IT professional, and naturally very cautious in the way that he runs the business, as most IT professionals are. Very very considered and very professional. So at that point, I probably believed him about 60% at that point. So that every day I said, right, okay, so we need to start encouraging everybody to be more agile. So let's take that 250, 260 up to 480, 500 people. And so I check in with him every day. How many people on the platform? and it's been good for us actually, because although we had the technology capability, I think what we have done is we've seen a greater level of innovation, deeper level of innovation across the entire business on how all individuals and teams are working together on platform, how they're collaborating, how they're using technology platforms beyond the one-on-one engagement that like we've got now. And to be honest with you, it's been, from a business standpoint, and I'm not just talking about the numbers, how we're seeing teams collaborate, people working together, not just business communication as well, how they're socializing using the platforms, and how they're sharing, how they're doing that. It's really quite inspiring actually. It's inspiring to see and learn from the people who are innovating at mass across the business.
Yeah, because James, did you have or encounter any challenges through, say, management adapting to this sort of philosophy? Because I know when I've spoken to partners before, they're very used to people in the office and managing KPIs, and they're knowing what their people are doing. As you were adopting that over the last 18 months, a year, obviously now it's become very prevalent. Was there any resistance from management about letting people sort of roam about and work when and where they can, or how they're actually managing them remotely?
I think Agile IT, or remote working, For a lot of organizations, it can be a little bit counterintuitive. It's a little bit like, 4 or 5 years ago, we'd have been, having a conversation and people are doing saying, casual dress, casual mind,
Yeah. Yeah.
get your tie on and, get the suit on, and everybody walks into work in uniform.
Yeah.
And again, 4 years ago, that wasn't, that was the norm. Sorry, and casual dress. I remember
Yeah.
as an organization, I'm touching on a different subject here, but we talked about, dressing appropriate for your business day, and kind of allowing people to have choice for dress for an age. And again, people had come back to this sentiment of, casual dress, casual mind. And I remember calling out the fact that everybody had dressed down on Friday anyway, didn't they?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But Friday was our best profit day.
Yeah. It doesn't really matter what you dress like.
Yeah. So you kind of go, come on, guys, let's do it. And I think there'll always be a sentiment of logic, or whether that I don't believe that logic is correct, by the way, of people have to be in the office for me to lead, and all this sort of stuff. But I think even now, what the world's going through at the moment, it proves that actually people don't need to be turning up
Yeah.
to one place of work. Work's not a place; it's what we do, and
Yeah.
I think that's a really important sentiment. And what I would say is, a move um, of this size, moving an organization away from, people being chained to desk and, fixed terminals, it's an emotional change. And any, we call it change, but really it's emotion. And I think I think organizations are very quick, not in the IT space necessarily, but across sectors, when we have people who are maybe a little bit slower on that journey, to to
Yeah.
to to be quick to point fingers and dictate that these people are not on the bus. But when the reality is, their emotional journey is a little bit
Yeah.
slower than other people's. And let me tell you, you've just got to, everybody's an individual. Everybody's an individual, and their emotional journey is very different, and that's what kind of builds up your collective capability as a business to evolve. But we've always evolved, so it's pretty good. You just don't call it change, and then people don't get scared.
Yeah, constant evolving. Exactly. No, I think change is going to happen anyway, regardless if you want it to happen. One question I am very interested in asking you, James. Resellers at the moment seem to be doing, and I don't know if CCS Media are one of these companies, but seem to be adopting like landing pages and rapidly increasing their communication to clients. Has your communication style at CCS Media increased, or has it changed to clients, or is it naturally just business as usual?
No, it's naturally business as usual. I think by using the platforms, in terms of teams as well, both internally as well, we haven't seen a change. So I think what we're talking to here is, people trying to put lots of emails out, or trying to put, landing pages out that give information about the company. And
Yeah,
that's, again, it's an emotional change, because people feel like they can't be in front of people. But the reality is, I'm in Yorkshire, you're in the south of England, and we're
yeah,
both communicating face to face. So by using the platform, there's no reason why we can't have a face to face conversation with both partners, distribution partners, specialist partners, or customers, and our broader organization. I think internally, I did say to someone the other day, actually, I felt like I was over communicating. So I'm probably still under communicating by about 10%. But again, using Teams, I've spoken to, and not just in one call, I've communicated with every single business unit across our entire organization, with everybody on a face-to-face basis in the last week. And that's something we encourage anyway as an organization. It's just constant communication, and it means that the distance, the traveling time, it's not a barrier anymore. And I think when it's less so about our business that we're communicating at the moment, it's actually more of a reassurance around the business, and trying to actually, when you've got a disparate workforce, one of the challenges that most people have is that they've got they've got the news feeds on 24 hours a day when they're working at home.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and that really gets in your head, and you've got to help calm people down and give people, when there's a lot of uncertainty out there in the world, we've got to give them as much certainty as possible. And this technology allows us to do that. And again, why did we adopt Agile IT? Well, there's business continuity, so it ticks every single box for our IT team. But
yeah.
as a reseller, we advise on technology, and the depth that you can advise on technology when you've had the experience is completely different to regurgitating somebody else's theory.
Yeah, because I would have thought, people out there would have had a business continuity plan, but my God, that's going to be tested to the extreme. And it sounds like yours has gone pretty seamless by the sounds of it.
Yeah, it has. Again though, our IT team are the heroes in this.
Yeah,
As if you look at what we're going through as a country, as a world, humanity in general, there's a real health challenge, and all of the health services around the world are what's going to keep everything running, and all of the governments working together. But from an economical standpoint, from a business standpoint, there's there's a lot of IT heroes here that
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
a couple of weeks ago, a lot of business owners would have run into them and said, open checkbook, get it delivered, or why don't we have it now?
yeah,
And
yeah.
these IT leaders know that it's not just about buying a lot of laptops. It's not about
Yeah.
that.
No. Do you think most companies would have understood the importance of, well, maybe not even the importance, they'd have understood the tools, they've understood video, they've understood conferencing and home working, and yet there was seemed to be there was a big resistance to deploying it. From an example, I knew about video conferencing. Was I using it? No. I knew about Microsoft Teams. Was I using it? No. I knew about home working. Have I been set up? No, I wasn't. It completely shocked me. So why do you think there was a resistance for not so much your company, but resistance from clients to when they knew the tools out there and video conference out there and these tools and technology was available, and yet they weren't really thinking about it at all. They were just still thinking, actually, let's just carry on as we are.
I think it's two things. I think it's habit and the emotion of change again. We work with some of the most dynamic technology organizations in the world, but we also travel 2 hours to a meeting together.
Yeah,
Up until 2 weeks ago, and every single one of those organizations that we work with, and they all had the technology deployed in some cases multiple platforms. But it's a habit. It's a
yeah.
habit.
James, in your opinion, do you think this is going to be potentially the death of the external salesperson, where he's traveling around the country visiting these customers?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think I think what it will be, it'll be, we talked about change before, and innovation's less revolution. Although it might feel like revolution at the moment, I think it's very much evolutionary in business. And I think what you will find is the external salesperson will do meetings and conversations with people like we are now, but they will also be in front of and go spend time inside an end user's organization.
Mm.
We can build a fantastic relationship now on a one-to-one basis or a one-to-many basis, but what we can't feel from the platform is the actual fixtures and fittings environment that an organization works within.
Yeah.
And that does absolutely bring a dynamic to how an organization operates.
And just on that, that's a really good point there, James, because on that, on the cultural piece, obviously you've got your own culture at CCS Media, and it could have been, you've adopted now remote working, and you've probably been ahead of the curve in that. How do you think companies can still keep that culture and still keep that vibe of offices when mainly actually at the moment, and I'm talking in the future as well, then when they actually come back after this, how can they actually maintain that culture when maybe half the workforce aren't even going to be in the office anymore?
Again, so any organization shouldn't make a building a barrier to how they work with people.
Right.
That's kind of sentiment number one. And the second point would be that we don't abdicate the responsibility of how our people work or are managed to IT. You know, just because you've got IT and people out in front of you doesn't mean that you shouldn't be communicating with them day to day and face to face in multiple instances, and also bringing people together collectively multiple times throughout a day as well, including bringing customers into that fold as well.
Yeah.
So the big thing is just not abdicating responsibility. IT is not gonna run or build your culture for you. You do that. You use that IT as a way of being flexible,
Yeah.
and aiding you to do that, and that's the big distinction. It's not going to do it for you.
Yeah. And then this time, this uncertain time, obviously, as a partner, you're obviously extremely busy. You're obviously getting requirements for home working. But at the moment, what are you seeing as the sort of like the product lines and the services lines that are most in demand from your customers across the board?
Well, I think any organisation that's engaged with as broad line reseller like CCS Media, significant uptick in the actual devices, so workspace devices, software, and security. But one thing's to be very clear: a lot of services actually as well, a lot of remote managed services as well. We're being asked for, but when we looked at our Agile IT project, 18 months ago, again, it's very easy to just think it's a lot of laptops. But
Yeah.
any any IT professional will tell you, even the things that I'm wearing a Jabra headset, right? The experience is completely different without this headset.
Yeah.
All of the wraparound peripherals that people don't like talking about, but they're a necessity to running a business, that they are key. But again, if I go back to the 18-month ago project that we deployed, we had maybe 50% of the budget that we spent was laptops. The other 50% was software, was security, and moving away from traditional security to a very holistic way of managing and running security across our business, and the infrastructure investment that we had to make at the edge right through to the core, both networking and into server storage environments that freed some of our IT leadership's team time up to be able to support people in a different way. It's completely different, right? So significant investment. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
No, and on your staff, obviously 500 staff is a big head count, and obviously all of them now deployed at home. Will this change your philosophy of potentially hiring or onboarding people, or actually getting them engaged with people? Or do you think you'll still go back to that office environment where you're thinking actually get people in the offices? Because there seems to be a shift from what I'm seeing is people are actually happily to do videos and interview videos and actually potentially offer videos over the job. Actually say actually you can start at home and onboarding. And I actually thought we'd never have that. I thought we'd never get to a world where someone would be offered a job, like me offer you a job and I've never met you because you're in Yorkshire. I never thought we'd get to that, but it actually seems like it could be now. So what's your view on that? Do you think CCS Media's stance on potentially onboarding people and looking for people would change now?
Always offer people jobs that live in Yorkshire. Right, that's the first. We work hard.
Grafters.
I think, if I'm honest with you, I think all modes will continue. Right, I think we'll see an increase in how we recruit people virtually, like we are now, and people being inducted virtually. We're doing that as well. We induct people virtually,
Right.
but we'll continue to have offices as well, because one thing that you forget, a lot of organizations forget about, is the fact that there's still people that want to go into an office every single day, and your people own your business. So it's about what's right for them. For us as an organization, it wasn't about let's go agile, cost saving, because it was 18 months ago and we've still got the same amount of sites, and it's about doing what's right for your people and the environment that they work in best, working together best, and that takes a lot of consideration. And I think every single organization, whether it's a reseller, a manufacturer, or an end user customer that's consuming technology, it's a completely unique case for all, because it depends on the people in the business, and it also depends on how you manage and lead people, your leadership style, because you're not going to change that because of technology.
Great. My last question, James. I know you're not the head of the World Health Organization, but you've got a good barometer of what the people are feeling out there from a customer point of view. What's your view on how long this will last and how this will change? Do you think we'll go back to naturally working as we were, or do you think this is going to last, or do you think it's going to be people are going to be resistant to go back in the office, or what's the vibe on the street from your customers are giving you?
The honest answer is, I don't think anybody knows. I don't think anybody knows. I don't think it'd be beneficial for me or anybody else to make any real predictions either, because we're just, you know, we're speaking with conviction about something we don't know about. And we've got to be humble. We've got to, you know, have some humility and say we don't know. We'll do our best today. Thankfully, we're also seeing that sentiment within our customer organizations. We're not seeing any knee-jerk decision making or reactions. We're just seeing, you know, strong leadership, good, calm, creative leadership, and organizations that are supporting their people today and for the immediate future, and doing the best to support their people to get through something that I don't know anybody that's experienced. You know, I've experienced 2008 in terms of a financial crisis, and I remember, you know, going through that and thinking, what the hell are we going to do? And you get through it, and the businesses that get through it are slightly different at the other end, and because the people inside the organization are different as a result of the experiences that we have.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I can, you know, concur with you there. Really, I really think, you know, I started in the recession in 2000, or just coming out of recession, and 2008 was like a tsunami for me. It was really bad. But I think your organisation does adapt, and it becomes more agile. And it was funny. I was speaking to a couple of people, and actually, it is a question that I would like to ask you as well around, you know, the office environment. So I'll say why I'm bringing that up. I have an office in Jerro's Cross of 20 people. Well, it fits 22 people. And I have about 19 staff. So next year I was thinking, right, I've got to get a 40-man office because I'm going to have it, et cetera, et cetera. And do you know what, James? I can categorically say now, I'm definitely not getting that 40-man office. That's a definite. I've only got 19 staff, and I had 22 people. But now I'm thinking, actually, I could have 35 staff and still have a 20-man hub because they can remote work. So to the question for you, you've obviously got multiple offices throughout the UK. Will it change your opinion of how you look at offices and remote working, whether it's WeWorks or smaller tenancies or larger offices? Will you actually adopt a different stance on that?
I think what we use the offices for will be different. So in your case, you know, you can probably get double the amount of people working for you, adopting an agile policy than you would in your old business model. Your business model has just changed. That's what you've just said, pretty much. And for us, you know, an office doesn't have to be somewhere where we just have fixed terminals. We might use those offices for meetings. We might use them for meetings with customers or events. You know, not necessarily declining, you know, office space, but what we use it for would be very different. But, you know, we're very open to just look at what works, really. Again, you know, we don't dismiss what we do have historically thought of as, you know, being counterintuitive thinking. It's really important that, I think, in an organization, because otherwise we only follow spreadsheet management.
Yeah, absolutely. James, you know, you've given some great insights, so it's been a pleasure speaking to you.
Thanks for joining us and listening to another episode of our Channel Chat podcast. If you've enjoyed what you've heard and are listening on iTunes, please could you give us a review and subscribe in order to get the newest episodes as soon as they're released. Otherwise, as always, we release an episode every Thursday at midday, so hopefully you can join us then.